Hello everyone, I am Jonathan Simon, and together with my group mates Jillian and Rachel, we'll be sharing on influencer marketing. The flow of the discussion will be as follows. First, on the background, followed by the best and worst practices, then proceeding on to consumer behavior and marketing practices as well. So to start off with the background. According to Forbes, one of the first widely acknowledged influencer collaborations dates back to 1760, when Wedgwood first made a tea set for the wife of King George III. Royalty were the influencers of the era, and Wedgwood quickly marketed his brand as having royal approval. That afforded it such luxury status that the brand is still considered fit for a king or queen today. In the 20th century, Coco Chanel was among the first, as well as the most enduring influencers in the world of fashion. Now, social media has allowed anyone the opportunity to become an influencer and offer their recommendations to the masses. Since the beginning of social media more than a decade ago, mommy bloggers were the most influential communicators on the internet. This, according to technology entrepreneur Lon Safco, who is also the author of the Social Media Bible. So much so that the FTC had to create a mommy blogger law, which was actually enacted in 2012. This stated that any blogger receiving any form of compensation from a company of which the blogger is giving the review has to state that clearly in the first line of their blog. Influencer marketing is when a brand collaborates with an online influencer to market one of its products or services. Some collaborations, however, are less tangible in the sense that brands simply work with influencers to improve brand recognition. Influencers, unlike celebrities, can be anywhere and they can be anyone. What makes them influential is their large following on the web and social media. They may be a popular fashion photographer on Instagram, a well-read cybersecurity blogger who tweets, or even a respected marketing executive on LinkedIn. There are many influential people within every industry and they just have to be found. Some will have hundreds of thousands of, if not millions of followers, but many will seem more like ordinary people. They may only have 10,000 followers, even less in some cases. Yet, they will have developed a reputation for being the experts in their field. They are the go-to people who provide the answers to people's questions depending on their sphere of expertise. They are the people who make the most engaging social posts on their specialist topics, share the best pictures, make the most entertaining videos, and run the most informative online discussions. Next, we'll be discussing on some examples of the best and worst practices within influencer marketing. Starting off with some examples for the worst practices. First off is uh, skipping over nano and micro influencers because of their smaller followings. Though they may have considerable fewer followers, small creators have the time to nurture authentic relationships with them, which can often lead to more trust and sway over purchasing decisions. Plus, many nano and micro influencers focus on a niche topic, and the people who follow them tend to be passionate about it. If your brand offers products or services that fit within that niche, you can reach an extremely targeted audience. Next is not researching influencers before reaching out. One of the first metrics that marketers will look at is follower count. And when this is the main factor you're basing a decision on, you could be setting the program up for less than stellar results. Once you find some interesting creators, research is always necessary to avoid any unforeseen crises. Next is partnering with controversial content creators. Since the basis of a creator's job is to be in the spotlight, it's only natural that some will stir up controversies. And while they vary in severity, choosing to partner with controversial creators may possibly lead to distrust for your brand. Partnering with an influencer who doesn't love your brand. Part of what makes creators such great spokespeople for brands is the connection they have with their fans. Their followers feel like they know them, and they can sense when a creator's excitement is genuine or manufactured for a paycheck. If a partnership is done with a creator that doesn't love the brand, product, or service, there is a chance that the audience will be able to tell and they might lose trust for both creator and the brand. And lastly on the list, for examples of worst practices, is choosing the wrong social media platform. In the competitive world today, social media has become an integral part of business marketing. Even small businesses have started to maintain their own Facebook and Instagram pages. Once you identify the demographics and psychographics of the target audience, research would have to be done on the different platforms. Now, information about social media platforms, typical users can be seen with a quick Google search. See where the targeted audience would spend most of their time and focus there. Now, for some examples on the best practices. Firstly, is identify the goals. As with any successful campaign activation, there would be KPIs that would be needed to be aligned to make success measurable. Before beginning an outreach, goals need to be aligned. Are you looking to increase brand awareness or are you looking to grow your content library? Is it website traffic, IG post saves, engagement? Each goal should be applied and identified so that you can not only reach your goal but also measure the KPIs successfully. Next is to listen up. Utilizing existing social channels to identify conversations that consumers are already having. For example, is there a certain consistency to questions that people are asking as they slide into their brand's inboxes? Is there a larger campaign that can be built surrounding current conversations? Social media is a two-way conversation. The influencers campaign can be used to inform, address needs, and have a little fun with doing it at the same time. Thirdly is to conceptualize the campaign. Align on what type of campaign makes the most sense for the brand. Before selecting the right influencers for the project, develop some foundational elements for the campaign. While the influencers can definitely drive a bit of the strategy, identify themes and initiatives so that the influencers will not only be excited to apply and participate, but also create engaging and quality work. Fourthly is to customize outreach. When identifying and vetting the perfect influencers for your program, the outreach needs to be customized so that it will be more effective for the campaign. Be authentic and share why the influencer would be a great fit for the brand, and better yet, the specific campaign. Lastly is to ask influencers questions. Ask them questions that can inform you if they are a good fit, as it could inform your entire strategy. It's important that they are authentically connected with the brand, as sometimes a forced influencer ad can be harmful for a brand if it isn't executed with authenticity and in line with the lifestyle and preference of the influencer. And that is it for the first two parts, and I will now be turning you over to Rachel. Thank you.
So for consumer behavior, it is worthwhile to note that Gen Z is the most influenced by social media influencers. People between the ages of 16 and 23 are most likely to respond to influencer marketing efforts. The percentage of people following social media influencers decreases with age. Just 23% of millennials, 16% of Gen X, and 9% of boomers follow influencers on social media. So we can see that the highest number of people influenced by social media are Gen Zs, maybe because they are also the generation that follows influencers the most. So aside from age, according to studies, there are other factors that affect consumers in relation to reaction to influencers, such as source characteristics, psychological related influential factors, and content attributes. So for this purpose, we're going to focus on psychological related influential factors and how it affects the consumer attitudinal and behavioral outcomes. So for example, in parasocial interaction, the parasocial interaction leads to more stickiness to the influencer and then wishful identification, compliance intention, and then purchase intention. For self-congruency with the influencer, if there is self-congruency with the influencer, the consumer also develops a perception of quality of life and perception of well-being. If the influencer gives inspiration, it gives the consumers the need to fulfill the ideality. And then if there is enjoyability, it promotes more engagement with the influencer. And if there is sense of friendship, the consumer also creates a perception of quality of life according to the influencer's perspective. On the other hand, if there is homophily and similarity, it creates more engagement, and then the intention to consume is there, and then the attitude towards the brand, product attitude, and purchase intention and relatedness is need to be fulfilled. And then if there is wishful identification between the consumer and the influencer, it results to even more stickiness to the influencer. On the other hand, if there is a influencer fan band, it promotes more time spent on viewing the videos of the influencer. And if there is endorser product brand weight, it improves the influencer's trustworthiness and post credibility. On the other hand, the consumers increases interest about the content and then the willingness to search for more info about it. It also promotes engagement and the attitude towards the endorsement brand or product is increased or is positively increased as well as the purchase intention. So all of these factors promotes even more relationship with the influencer and the consumer. Then increasing the purchase intention by the consumer when an influencer promotes a product or a brand. The next, Jill will discuss more some marketing practices attributed to influencer marketing.
Hi, I'm Jill, and I'm here to present the marketing practices involved in influencer marketing. Here is an outline of the collaboration structure when dealing with an influencer. The company must first identify the campaign goal, whether it's product exposure, increasing the follower count, and many others. The company should then discuss which aspects of the content that they have control over. Most influencers have a set personality across social media sites, so the influencer engagement should convey the message and at the same time still be on brand for the influencer. As usual, they would also discuss the time frame and review the actual output. One of the interesting things about this process is the payment method. While traditional advertising and marketing techniques often conclude with monetary compensation, influencers can be paid through sponsored products or per commission per click or engagement, per post, or a fixed flat rate. One of the desired effects of influencer marketing is brand engagement. Brand engagement is about building long-term relationships with consumers, and the goal is to form an emotional bond with the consumer for a long-time patronage. Influencer marketing, as discussed earlier, creates this sense of familiarity and companionship as most micro-influencers interact with their followers directly, building a sense of genuine connection and trustworthiness. This helps the consumers relate to the brand as they identify with the influencer that advertises it. As seen in this table, micro-influencers comprises the majority of influencers and has the highest engagement rate. The rise of TikTok can mean that influencers prefer content that's fast, relatable, and informative. Riding the wave of ever-changing online trends, of course, has its benefits. Choosing the right influencers and the right platforms would benefit the company in reaching its intended audience. Another factor that is relevant in influencer marketing is influencer product congruence. Consumers would gravitate towards an influencer who has credentials that complements its support of a certain product or service. It may be professional, emotional, or a practical relationship with a product or service. An example of this would be reaching out to influencers who focus more on lifestyle content to advertise skincare products, travel discounts, or clothes and accessories as their followers identified this particular influencer to these products and services. These influencers also reach various demographics spanning age, gender, and financial standing. So considering the influencer's target market is a big factor in choosing them. Influencer credibility can be built through time and having a consistent brand in social media. Being in the public's eye requires influencers to maintain a holistic and pleasing personality, as these personal attributes can be carried over on how the public perceives them and the products related to them. This trait varies among different target audiences as they define credibility differently. Products that involve health and beauty could be advertised better by a dermatologist, fitness and wellness from athletes, and many other examples. The combination of these factors make the perfect influencer. 61% of consumers trust influencers' recommendations, especially those who are relatable, consistent, and appears to be genuine. Here is a direct quote from a study done by Harvard Business Review. The posts in our dataset were written by 2,412 influencers for 861 brands across 29 product categories at costs ranging from $200 to almost $100,000 per post. And indeed, we found that on average, a 1% increase in influencer marketing spend led to an increase in engagement of 0.46%, suggesting that the strategy can in fact yield a positive ROI. The average firm in our dataset could have achieved a 16.6% increase in engagement simply by optimizing how they allocate their influencer marketing budgets. The right mix of these factors would enable companies to utilize influencer marketing costs and positively affect their ROI. Influencer marketing has been projected to rise in the coming years, but like other investments and strategies, diving into trends do not guarantee success. An in-depth analysis on what advantages this marketing strategy could offer would help businesses utilize technological and social trends better to positively impact the company in terms of branding, exposure, and finances. And that's it for our presentation on influencer marketing. Thank you so much.